Okay, so I wanted to do a video response instead of trying to type all of this out. And I'm going to tackle stuff with your dad first, and this is going to be based on assuming that your dad is able to participate in being mobile. He doesn't really necessarily have to handle Fauci too much, but obviously he needs to be able to move around and do things. So the first step, we're not going to hang around too long. I just kind of want to set up a new association between Fauci and your dad. And especially in the first couple of times, it's going to be a little bit of your dad having to be prepared and maybe like set up situations. So what I want him to do is with using high value treats, so not Fauci's kibble like his normal meals, something that's a little bit more exciting. So you can go all out, you can get special treats, you can use chunks of cheese or pieces of steak or chicken or something like that. Something that Fauci really, really, really likes, so not just his kibble. And every time your dad enters the room, even if Fauci growls at him, he's just going to not even acknowledge Fauci's existence, he's just going to throw food at him. Just a kibble. So if Fauci's laying on the floor and your dad walks into the room and Fauci kind of gets up and gets a little tense, he's just going to throw food and keep on moving. And in the beginning, it's going to seem a lot like you're rewarding bad behavior, but I guess essentially you are, but the idea is that we're trying to create new associations. So it's okay that he's rewarding bad stuff. I want it to be where every single time your dad walks into the room, Fauci starts to think, where's my food? Instead of, I don't like that you're entering my space, you're stressing me out. So we're gonna linger in that phase pretty short, because then I want to show Fauci the right way to react to your dad. So I wanted to create a new association first, and then once you can kind of notice things shifting a little bit, I want to have your dad be a little bit more involved in a constructive way. So what I recommend is using some form of a back tie. So if I would use something that's fairly secure, so not like a cabinet door. If you have like the furniture with the legs, like a sofa that you can put the leash under, you can put the handle pretty much like through the door. If you have like a pantry door or something, put it through. Well, this one doesn't have that, but through the knob on the inside, and then when you shut the door, you can't open it. Something like that. I'm going to use an actual back tab because I'm a dog trainer and I have access to that. Excuse you, sir. Fauci, out. Good boy.
Nosy Nelly. I know him. I need to know where everything is in case I can eat it.
So the point of the back tie is for safety. And you're going to want to make sure you can use like painter's tape or something like that. The wheelhouse that Fauci has access to, so that way your dad doesn't ever cross that line and push Fauci's buttons too much. So what I'm looking for, and I'm not going to really be able to demonstrate too much because Fauci doesn't get upset when I approach him, is, excuse you, when I go to approach Fauci, and you can have, this can be meals. And in fact, I recommend this being like when Fauci eats, this is what happens, which I think we're already doing the existential feeding. I would like it if your dad started doing it. Hey, so you'll have Fauci's bowl, and if it's not easy to like aim into the bowl, then you can just throw on the floor. I'll let you guys, I'm not gonna recommend throwing food if it's something where you're like stressed out about there being like everywhere. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your dad walk up, and as soon as Fauci seems agitated, he's going to stop, and that's nothing else. When Fauci settles, and this could be something where he is for like a minute or so sitting there very stressed out. As soon as he kind of shifts attitude, so maybe he goes from like alert to kind of like backing off a little bit, your dad's gonna start throwing food. Just kibble, 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 and as he's eating it, he keeps getting kibble. if your dad moves a step closer, which is fine, and Fauci goes back to the defensive behavior, your dad does not move away. Remember, we're not passing that line of the wheelhouse. Your dad's not going to move away. He's just going to stop feeding. So what I want Fauci to learn is showing those behaviors doesn't get you space, but it does discontinue feeding, something that he needs. And when he goes into more accepting behaviors, the food continues. So it gets him good things. He gets rewarded. And I think a very key point to this is you're going to set aside the food allowance ahead of time. And if he, in the beginning, does not get out of defensive behavior, he doesn't get the food. You can try again next mealtime, or you can try again later. But he's not eating unless he is being non-defensive. So I think that's going to be harder for you, necessarily more harder than it is for Fauci, naturally, because you want your dog to eat. And luckily he's at a good weight. I think he's at a good weight right now. Like, he could gain more weight and be fine if he lost a little weight. I don't think it would be like a huge setback. I don't want him to lose weight. I'm hoping that this is a quick process. But this is where it really matters with that existential feeding, where he learns that for his survival, he needs to figure out the correct behaviors. And that sounds really harsh, like for his survival, but literally, like, in order to eat and to get his calorie intake for the day, he's got to switch up his mindset a little bit. And he'll learn that naturally his satiation of food is sourced from your dad. That's going to be what helps him be a little bit more dependent on him and feel better about him. There's no punishment. We're not doing anything like that. And I think at this stage, if it's not during the initial feeding time and he still shows defensive behaviors towards your dad when you're not feeding him, we're just going to simply put Fauci away. So if your dad's in the room and Fauci gets a little defensive, no punishment, anything. It's just we remove Fauci, we put him away. I want to show him that it's okay if you just need space, go lay down. You don't have to ask for your space. I'm giving it to you. And I do want it to be at a frequency that is constructive. So we're going to put him away, locked away. So to the point where he can't get out if he wants to, just until he settles down, and then you can let him back out after a few minutes. But I would say you're not making him come out, you're just allowing it. I hope that makes sense. So, like, we'll say, let's example, he growls at your dad and you're not intervening, you just put him in a kennel, door shut and closed or locked or whatever. Once he settles down, you just walk up and you unlock the door, and that's it, you walk away. You don't, come on, Fauci, none of that. It's just the door's open, you can come out when you want to. Because I still want him to think, like, that was stressful, I need space. He can still keep his space. He can come out when he's ready. But now it's not, you have to be in that kind of situation. I wrote notes over here, so I keep looking at the board. And then I also think that with that, we want to interrupt fixation on your dad. So if you're hanging out, and I do recommend kind of not letting Fauci free roam if he's showing these behaviors towards your dad for your dad's safety, and to not like cause an accidental problem with like an altercation, which is going to be much harder to fix than just this kind of initial, like he's trying to figure it out. And I will say, like, I think that you have had Fauci 3 weeks-ish, which is kind of the honeymoon phase. Once 3 to 4 weeks is kind of how long it typically takes dogs to start to settle into their new home, and that's when you see either kind of some confidence raise, or you see the bad behaviors that they haven't been comfortable enough showing yet. So we're teetering in that area. In 3 months is when they really kind of like settle in and they're fine, or really bad, depending on your dog. So if you're hanging out and your dad enters the room and he starts to kind of stare at him a little bit, I think it's best for you to, we're not gonna allow him to stare at your dad and like conjure up feelings. So I think it'd be better to, if he starts fixating on your dad, just be like, no, and then offer him something instead once he disengages from your dad. So it's still, we're telling him he's not allowed to sit there and stare and feel weird about it. And when he stops doing all that naughty stuff, he gets something out of it. High value reward. As far as people goes, or strange people, people coming over, for now, I'm gonna say, let's just put Fauci out. He doesn't like people entering his space, and it's just really stressful, and I have not gotten to that point yet. I know it seems like I've been working with Fauci for a really long time because you started midweek, so, and then he was gone for a day, so work week wise, it's been like almost 3 weeks, but actual me working with him, it's only been like 6 or 7 days. So sometimes you just have to trust the process. I know when you get a dog and you send them to training, like you're just really excited for these outcomes, but sometimes they really, like, they don't happen at first. There has to be things that I have to do separately, and then I piece them together to help him to be more successful. We're still in those separate puzzle pieces right now. I'm still working on building a foundation of obedience, and I'm going to start tinkering around with creating new associations, and then I'm going to bring them together to where he's being obedient in stressful situations. We're not there yet. So for right now, I would say let's just put Fauci away if people are coming over, help him just be more confident. And then the goal was going to be when we have guests over, we're going to give him something to do. So usually what I'm recommending is Fauci goes on his place. He'd be back-tied in the beginning as you're getting used to kind of following through those behaviors. The place command is going to be a safe zone where nobody messes with him. In your email, you asked if he's going to be like this forever or with all guests or whatever. And I don't know. I don't know what his socialization was like prior to coming to you, other than he lived with people, but we don't know what they exposed him to. If I'm remembering correctly, we don't know what they exposed him to. It could have been nothing at all. It could have just been he had his family and that was it. Nobody ever came over. He's never learned how to deal with that context. So we have to generalize good feelings and how to behave in those situations. And some dogs, they pick up on that really quickly. Some dogs, it's like a continuous thing of I have to do step A, B, C to have him successfully coexist in the world that I live in, where there's people coming over and things like that. So I will see what I can do, and I'll keep working with him, and then we'll figure out what is the best route for him in those situations. It could be something where down the line, fine, no big deal, he's hanging out and doing whatever when people come over. Or it could be something where when people come over, I need to know ahead of time so that I can prepare myself what to do with Fauci. Either he goes away, like in a kennel or in another room, or he hangs out in his place and people leave him alone. And those are two extremes. There might be something in the middle. I don't know yet. I will figure it out. That's what you paid me for. So we're just not there yet. I haven't worked with him yet today. I just want to make this quick video because I know you're expecting something back from me, so I wanted to get that out quickly, and YouTube takes forever to upload sometimes, so I wanted to make sure I had that. Today I'm going to, since it's Monday, I'm going to kind of teeter around with obedience first, and then put him away, and then bring him back out, and I'm trying to figure out where I want to take him to work on inside stuff, because his triggers are when people are inside. He doesn't care when we go on a walk, he doesn't care passing by people. At least not always the big scary men. But I also don't want to take him in a situation where it's dangerous for other people or him. So I have to figure out a good place, and I'm trying to think of where I want to go. So that's what today's going to be like. Let me know if you have questions or if I forgot anything. It's Monday, so I have not had coffee yet. I don't even know what's wrong with me. So enjoy this video. Let me know if you have questions. I have the remote in the thing. Fauci said we're going to learn some stuff. He had his right ear up all morning. I saw it.